What's up, everybody? My name is David Pere, and I am the CEO, founder of the Military Millionaire community. And today I want to talk to you guys about a trend that is gaining speed, and I think it's pretty dangerous, right? The trend is to talk about how bad 2020 is. Now, at first glance, this sounds harmless because, it is kind of interesting to crack jokes. I mean, 2020 has been a hell of a year, right? Kobe passed away. COVID obviously shut the whole world down. Killer wasps or whatever, dust storm from the Sahara flew all the way across to the U.S. I don't even remember anymore. Beirut bombing, just a lot of stuff that has not been good this year. But I want to talk about the fact that 2020 itself, the year, doesn't suck. You do, and I want to talk about why and how to fix this. All right, now I'm trying something a little different today with my desktop. Look at this, I got shameless self-promotion stuff going on. Trying to do a cross between my buddy JJ's channel, where I should have a beer right now that I'm drinking, but I guess I drank them all last night, and Meet Kevin, where he throws his own stuff on the background there. But I wanted to just test out a new setup, and I would love to hear what you guys think, and let me know if you like this setup, if this is something I should do more for the channel. But look, again, I want to reiterate, 2020 doesn't suck. You suck. And here's what I mean by that. Look, saying 2020 sucks is a victim mentality, right? And I'm not going to go into all of the reasons why that's bad, but look, just suffice it to say this. When you blame things that are outside of your control, whether that's the year or COVID or getting laid off or whatever these things are that happen to you, and you blame them, you kind of end up being the victim. And now there are times where you are a victim. The problem is that there's nothing wrong with being a victim. There's a problem with the victim mentality, which is blaming that, right, and focusing on that. So, for example, if you get broken up with, right, like you're in love and this, that, and the other person dumps you out of nowhere. That's a crummy situation. And you may have been a victim in that situation, right? Maybe you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you did, I don't know. And that sucks. But if you focus on what happened to you, then it's not the breakup that made you sad. You're allowing yourself to be sad by what happened. Now, again, crummy situation, right? But your emotions are what you control those, right? Nobody has the power to change how you feel. Now, there are obviously people can make you feel better or worse around you, whatever, someone can cheer you up a little bit, but ultimately you are responsible for how you act and how you get up. So if you focus on the fact that you got broken up with, and that's why your life is terrible, there's nothing you can do about that. You got broken up with. But if you focus on yourself and how you can improve and how you can get in better shape and how you can do this better, you can control that. So being a victim, nothing wrong with that. Stuff happens. The victim mentality of blaming those things that happened to you for why you didn't do this or why you didn't do that, that's problematic, because when you blame that thing, you are giving it control over you and your emotions and your success. But when you blame yourself, you are taking back that power and you are becoming infinitely powerful to overcome those issues. For example, another example, when I blew out my knee, one of the times, the more recent time, I gained weight. And it was very easy for me to say that I gained weight because I blew out my knee, right? I couldn't run, I couldn't work out the same, this happened, that happened, yada, yada, yada. The problem is that in that scenario, I can't or couldn't do anything to change it until after the knee surgery, after the recovery process, and whatever. And this is a true story, this happened to me, right? I admit this, I own this was a fault of mine. The reality is that even though I couldn't run or I couldn't lift or I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that while I was waiting for surgery, I could have eaten healthier. I could have still done some exercise or walked or whatever. And I let myself get depressed. I let myself go to waste. I let these things happen to me, and I just used it as an excuse, and I got out of shape. And the moment I realized that and owned that and started just getting my life in order, when I owned that it was my fault, then I was powerful enough to fix it. But when I blamed the knee or the surgery or the injury for why I was out of shape, I was not powerful enough to do anything about it, because if it's not my fault and it's something that I can't control that caused it, then I'm screwed. So this is the mentality, right? So the victim mentality is when you play the, oh, woe is me, this happened and I can't do anything about it, which might be true, but instead of saying, well, this happened, I can't do anything about it, but I'm going to do this to change it, you say, well, this happened, I can't do anything about it, so I'm not going to do anything about it. So saying 2020 sucks, it's not the best year, although I will say that the media shows the negative stuff, so there's a chance that you're seeing the negative stuff and omitting or consciously or subconsciously the positive things that are going on, and therefore you might have a misrepresentation. Think of it like this, right? You work with someone and they work for you for like a whole year and they're wonderful, and then they make one really bad mistake. What do you remember? Oh, the one really bad mistake, right? Like, that's human nature. It happens. It is unfortunate, but it happens. We tend to remember the negative things more than the positive things. They stick out, right? And therefore, in the same regard, those negative things are news more so than the positive things, because people watch the negative stuff. Why did this change in the world? All right, smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe, mister.
Yeah, subscribe, mister.
Subscribe, Mr. Corey.
Woo! All right.
I share.
Apparently they flip-flop screens. I clearly haven't mastered this, and all my desktop icons are messed up somehow. But I digress. 2020 might suck. You might have even gotten laid off. I don't know. But if you allow that to control you, there's nothing you can do to change it. So here are some thoughts for how you can make 2020 better and gain momentum into 2021 so that you can achieve success regardless of what the year looks like. The three things I'm going to cover, the first three things at least, are goals, education, and networking. So you need to decide, like, stop everything and decide where you want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, right? I think 5 years, 10 years, those are good spots to really sit down and visualize who and where do you want to be in 5 years or 10 years, right? And then back plan from that. So if you want to be, I don't know, president of the company in 5 years, then you need to educate yourself like what the president of the company did. So figure out what some of his favorite books are, figure out what he did for education, figure out what kind of education he's currently doing, and learn those types of things. And then network with people who are presidents of companies. Get around those people who are more successful than you. Or if you can't get to the person who's the president of the company, network with their secretary, their aide, or network with someone who's a step above you to get there, right? So find people who are where you want to be in that 5-year window, and then follow them. Now, you could learn from them by reading their books, watching content they put out, listening to podcasts they're on, listening to CEO interviews with them, and you can learn all of this. You don't necessarily have to talk to them, right? Like, that's an icing on the cake. If you get to talk to them, you get to learn from them directly. But if you aren't able to do that, that's okay. Watch their content, read their content, learn their content, figure out what books they're reading, and read those books, those authors that they like, right? And so you want to set those goals, find people who are already doing what you want to do, educate yourself on what they're doing, educate yourself similarly to what they're doing, and then network with them, or network with people like them, or network with people that know them, right? I have been able to build a pretty successful network, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because the reason I did this was by finding those people I want to emulate, and then learning from their content and their blogs and stuff, and then, you know, commenting on it, engaging with it, talking to them about it, finding other people who know them and networking with them, and just slowly building my way around to where, you know, they recognize me from commenting on their stuff, they recognize me from sharing their stuff, they recognize me from whatever, and then you ask someone who's close to them, like, hey, would you mind sending an email introduction to this person for me? And then they do, and ta-da, it's like, oh, hey, I recognize your name, or maybe not. I mean, I've done that cold before and still been able to get in touch with people. There are some great networking tips out there. I've covered them in other videos. Go check those out. But again, set that 5-year goal and 5-year vision, and build a vision board too, whatever. And then learn from people who are already there by following their education or reading stuff they put out, and then network with those people, right? And if you do these things, you'll be much, much, much further along because you're taking control. You're saying, this is where I'm going to be. Regardless of what the world looks like, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I want to do. Let me learn about it. Let me become obsessed with it. Let me network with people who are doing it. right? And on that same note, stop taking advice from people who aren't where you want to be. If you want to be a multi-family $1 million, $1 billion real estate agent or real estate, investor in big syndications, that's awesome. Get around some guys who are making millions of dollars through multi-family apartment syndications and listen to their advice, what they tell you. Do it, listen to it, act on it, follow it, read up on it, whatever. But if you want to be that multi-family $1 million apartment syndicator and Joe, the little wholesaler house flipper over here, not to say one strategy is better than the other, but the guy who's doing, several different wholesale house flippers, or even if they're the best house flipper in the freaking world, if they don't understand the multifamily side, then maybe you don't listen to them for the advice because they aren't where you want to be. They might have good advice if you want to be them. But if you want to be this guy, don't listen to this guy's advice. Listen to this guy's advice. So that's something I've been working on a lot more. Don't listen to advice from people who are not who you want to be or where you want to be down the road. Because if you listen to those people, you're going to get a lot closer than if you listen to people who are kind of along the way, right? It'd be like driving from San Diego to Big Bear Lake, right? So it's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive. But along the way, you ask people who've never been to Big Bear for directions to Big Bear. Now they could pull up Google and give you an answer. You could do that yourself. But if you ask people from Big Bear that you know in San Diego or you see in San Diego how to get to Big Bear, you're going to get a much better answer because that's where they live or that's where they lived, right? So just understand that concept. All right, look, before we wrap up my TED Talk here real quick, the final 2 things that you need to know in order to avoid this victim mentality and to understand that 2020 doesn't suck, you do, so now you're powerful enough to change it, is this. Never blame things that are out of your control, right? It's like that old adage, Serenity Prayer, right? Lord, grant me the help or the wisdom to, I'm going to botch that. I'm going to look it up because I'm not perfect. I'm going to read it too because I'm still not perfect. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So again, look, change the things you can, recognize the things you can't change and ignore them, right? Focus on yourself. So don't blame things that are out of your control and never stop growing, right? Don't stop education. And I don't mean college. That's great if that's what you want to do, but educate yourself. I mean, there's a whole bookshelf over there full of junk and up there, and that junk has changed my life. So educate yourself, read books, watch YouTube University or just YouTube videos from people that you enjoy. Listen to podcasts from people you want to be like or CEOs or whatever. Just follow this kind of wisdom and advice, and that's my biggest advice for you, right? Again, I'm going to reiterate it one more time. 2020 does not suck. You do if you're letting it get in the way of your goals. You need to take control, grab the reins, crack the whip, whatever analogy you want, and understand that things happen in the world that aren't always in your control, and that's fine, but you need to man up, woman up, or whatever else you want to consider yourself up, and just change. You control your future. If you acknowledge that you're in control, and you take ownership of that, you can become ultimately successful. So, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Let me know what you think of this whole backdrop-y thing. I think I kind of like it. And man, I hope that the rest of your 2020 is swell. And I hope that your 2021 is swell and your 2022 is swell. And oh, that's right. They will be because you're going to change, you're going to take control, and you're going to make them fucking awesome. So have a great day. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell so you get notified and smash that likey like button. I appreciate you.